Dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the first Dhamma sermon of this English medium retreat. May you give your consent by saying Sadhu Sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Anapanasati bhikkhave bhavita bahuli kata chattaro satipatthana paripureti. Chattaro satipatthana bhavita bahuli kata satta bojjanga paripurenti. Satta bojjanga bhavita bahuli kata vijja vimutting paripurenti ti. Dear Dhamma friends, as you all can remember, we have kept one particular sutta as the topic of this series of retreats, and that is actually available in Majjhima Nikaya. That is the 118th sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, and that is called Anapanasati Sutta. So, extremely beautiful sutta as well as very useful for meditators, because it is practically explaining how Anapanasati, or the practice of breathing meditation, mindfulness of breathing, helps to develop four foundations of mindfulness, that is the four satipatthana, and then it leads to development of the seven enlightenment factors, satta bojjhanga, and then it leads to develop vijja vimukti, the knowledge and the vision, or the freedom. So therefore, in a way, here Buddha is giving some sort of a shortcut to fulfill whole path just by using this Anapanasati. So as you can remember, Anapanasati is one of the technique mentioned in Kayanupassana section of Satipatthana Sutta. You know, among different techniques explained in Satipatthana Sutta, Kayanupassana section actually consists of 14 types of meditation techniques, including 4 postures, and then lead into Anapanasati itself, and then Dhatu Manasikara, Navasivatika, there are 9 types, and then Asubha, the 32 parts of the body. So likewise, there are 14 types of meditation techniques are explained. There in Satipatthana Sutta, Buddha didn't go into explain Anapanasati in detail and how it can be employed to develop 4 Satipatthanas, and it can be used to develop 7 enlightenment factors, and ultimately the knowledge and the freedom. But here in Anapanasati Sutta, Buddha is explaining this kind of a development or the fulfillment of all these things, 4 foundations of mindfulness, and then the 7 enlightenment factors, and then the knowledge and vision, knowledge and the freedom. So therefore it is very interesting to investigate, to ponder how this Anapanasati single technique can be used, can be employed to fulfill all these requirements. So actually the occasion where Buddha explained this very interesting sutta has happened in Savatthi, where Buddha and the Sangha was residing at Migaramatu Pasada, which was built and donated by Visakha. And at that time, Buddha understood that the well-known Arahants, the eminent Arahants, are now teaching the young monks. There are novice monks, the newly ordained monks, and these newly ordained monks are now learning from these well-known Arahants. Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Mahamoggallana, Mahakottita, Venerable Mahakassapa. Likewise, there are well-known Arahants are there, and in this assembly, so they are teaching to the new coming monks. And these new coming monks, the novice monks, are now eagerly listening to them and practicing diligently. So there Buddha understood, rather than moving after 3 months, so as usual practice, at the end of the Vassa season, the rains retreat, Buddha and the Sangha, as a custom, they start to travel, going from this where the place they have spent their vassa to another place. So likewise there was a tradition. But in this particular time, Buddha investigates and see these novice monks are doing well. They are practicing so hard. So if he starts to move as the usual practice, it can be a little disturbance for their development of the practice. So therefore Buddha decides, let's stay here itself for another month. So the news spreads among the Sangha, telling that Buddha has decided to stay longer at this particular place, that is the Migaramatu Pasada, the place built by Visakha. And so the other monks, the novice monks, start further practicing. At the end of that month, so again Buddha understood that monks are further developing, and some are already attained stream entry, some have already attained the once returners, some have attained non-returned, anagami, and some have already fully enlightened. So, and there may be still the ones who are developing as well. So as a result, Buddha was thinking, so shall I develop or shall I preach one particular method which is suiting to everyone, which is suitable for everyone, and will lead to the complete enlightenment, full enlightenment. And there he is teaching Anapanasati. So therefore Anapanasati is one of the very important meditation technique used all around the world to develop mindfulness, because it is starting with the body, and it can lead to feelings, and then the mind, and ultimately even to the very subtle understanding or careful understanding of how mind works or how the phenomena behaves. So we have discussed these 4 foundations during our last retreat. Actually, how Anapanasati can be developed to fulfill Kayanupassana, that is the mindfulness of body, and then how Anapanasati can be developed to fulfill the Vedananupassana, foundations of the feelings, and then how Anapanasati can be developed to fulfill the Chittanupassana, that is to fulfill the mind, so it's understanding the mind, keeping mind as the foundation of mindfulness, and then how Anapanasati can be used or developed in order to fulfill Dhammanupassana, that is seeing various factors of the mind, behaviors of the mind through Anapanasati. So therefore Anapanasati now Buddha is using very carefully to fulfill all these requirements. So there actually he is introducing 16 steps. It is not just practicing Anapanasati, just watching the breath. Rather he is systematically explaining 16 steps. How one can develop Anapanasati in order to fulfill the Kayanupassana, foundations of the body. How one can develop Anapanasati in order to develop Vedananupassana, foundation of feelings. How Anapanasati can be used to develop the foundation of mind, and how Anapanasati can be developed in order to fulfill or develop the Dhamma, understanding of various phenomena. So he is systematically explaining all this information. So there are 16 steps are described. So these 16 steps actually very beautiful and very gradually explained, step by step explained. So now we have come to the section. There Buddha is explaining, if one is developing Anapanasati as he has explained here using 16 steps, now he is telling already, okay, he can fulfill all 4 foundations of mindfulness. And by developing 4 foundations of mindfulness, how one can develop 7 enlightenment factors. So this is what we need to explain today or investigate today. So before that, so what are the enlightenment factors? So there are, in one occasion, one bhikkhu went to the Buddha and pay respect to Buddha, and he is asking from the Buddha, Bhante, people are telling Bojjhanga, Bojjhanga. So why it is called Bojjhanga or enlightenment factors, enlightenment factors? Why it is called enlightenment factors? So there Buddha is telling, so they are leading to the enlightenment. If you are developing them, those will take you to the enlightenment, lead you to the enlightenment. That is why they are called Bojjhanga. So if I refer the Pali term, Pali text, there Buddha is mentioning Bodhaya Samvattantiti Ko Bhikkhu Tasma Bojjhangati Uchchati. So these enlightenment factors, if one develops, it will lead to the enlightenment. So therefore simply they are called enlightenment factors. So there are 7 enlightenment factors. There are 7 enlightenment factors. The first one, Sati Sambojjhanga, enlightenment factor of the mindfulness or mindfulness enlightenment factor. Dhammavichaya Sambojjhanga, enlightenment factor of the investigation. Viriya Sambojjhanga, enlightenment factor of the effort or energy. Piti Bojjhanga, enlightenment factor of the rapture. And then Passadi enlightenment factor or Passadi Sambojjhanga, the tranquility enlightenment factor. Then Samadhi Sambojjhanga, the concentration enlightenment factor. And then the Upekka Sambojjhanga, the equanimity enlightenment factor. So likewise Buddha has explained these 7 enlightenment factors and how they are developing through Anapanasati practice. So let's get into the detail how one can develop Sati Sambojjhanga, the enlightenment factor of the mindfulness, by developing Kayanupassana section. So we'll go one by one. So let's explain the Kayanupassana section. Say for example, one is keeping the attention on the body, and by systematically doing it, how one can develop mindfulness enlightenment factor. So if you can recall the first 4 steps in those 16 steps, then it is quite easy to understand what I am trying to tell. There Buddha says, okay, there are 4 steps which actually fulfill the Kayanupassana. Digang va asasanto digang asasamiti pajanati. Digang va pasasanto digang pasasamiti pajanati. So that is one section. Then rassang va asasanto rassang asasamiti pajanati. Rassang va pasasanto rassang pasasamiti pajanati. So let me explain it in English. Say when one understands that the in-breath, particular in-breath is longer than the previous in-breath, or particular out-breath is longer than the previous out-breath, so there one is keeping his attention on breath very carefully. And sometimes he understands, okay, in-breath is shorter than the previous in-breath, or the out-breath is shorter than the previous out-breath. So he is carefully observing the breath, maybe in-breath or out-breath, and he understood previously the in-breath behaved, it happened shorter, but now this one I am experiencing for a longer time, longer period. Or else previously I have experienced a longer breath, longer in-breath, but now I have experienced a very short in-breath. It may be in-breath or out-breath. So now he is keeping his attention on in-breath and out-breath, and he can understand that. Now you have to understand. Now the meditator is carefully observing. It is not just the wavering mindfulness. Rather, his mindfulness has well established now. Say at the very beginning for a novice practitioner, so it could be little difficult because his mind is going to the past, going to the future, daydreaming, talking, body aches, and posture has to change, many itches and all these things, many obstacles are there. But as you develop again and again, more and more you develop mindfulness, say Anapanasati, then you gain the skill, you can maintain your posture for a long time. Mind does not distract often. Rather, mind simply stays with the breath. So that is the first step. Sato vassa sati, sato passa sati. So you are mindfully breathing in, mindfully breathing out, mindfully breathing in, mindfully breathing out. Now you can understand, okay, the breath being used as an anchoring point for the mindfulness, anchoring point for your attention. So it does not go to the past now, or it does not go to the future. Rather, mind starts to use breath as a anchor, constantly coming back to breath, constantly coming back to breath. Say for a beginner, mind is distracting to the past or to the future, and maybe going for a ride for a couple of minutes. But once mindfulness established, again he is bringing back to the breath. Again mind distracts, again he is bringing back. Now likewise he is developing mindfulness, and now he is developing the momentum. And now suppose he has established mindfulness. There he can understand, okay, in-breath and the out-breath are different. They are not exactly same. Maybe in-breath is longer, out-breath is shorter. Maybe in-breath occurs in one nostril, the out-breath happens in another nostril. Maybe in-breath is cooler, out-breath is warmer. So likewise, he can understand the subtle differences of in-breath and out-breath. So this is the gradual development. You can understand the mind develops, mind refines, mindfulness improves. So he can recognize all these subtle differences now. Not only that, he is further developing mindfulness to the level, now he can understand the subtle differences of two consecutive in-breaths or two consecutive out-breaths. Typically we think all the in-breaths are similar, all the out-breaths are similar. But now this yogi understand it is not. There may be subtle differences, minor differences between two in-breaths, two consecutive in-breaths, and maybe differences between two consecutive out-breaths. So this is how mindfulness improves. And there he is well established mindfulness. So it is not wavering mindfulness. He is carefully observing the breath. Now mindfulness does not, his attention does not go to the past or the future. But he can recall the length of the previous in-breath and the length of the present in-breath. There he can recognize, okay, this is shorter, this is longer. Previous one is maybe longer, this present one is shorter. Likewise, he can carefully understand because he has well established mindfulness. And he further develops mindfulness, and he is trying to see the beginning of the in-breath. So he can carefully see that the in-breath was not available there, but now slowly beginning. Very gentle, very soft beginning is there. Then it is increasing, and then it is disappearing, it is fading away, and then completely faded away. Then after a little gap, then the out-breath begins. Very softly, gently it is starting. And then the sensation increases, and ultimately it disappears, fades away. And again a little gap one can experience. So this is the complete cycle of in-breath and out-breath. So if one can see this complete cycle, there he is touching the third step, Sabbakaya Patisangvedi Asasisamiti Sikkati. So there he can see the complete in-breath, or Sabbakaya Patisangvedi Passasisamiti Sikkati, where he can understand the complete out-breath. Sometimes certain books explain Sabbakaya Patisangvedi means that he is fully aware of the complete body. That also can be considered alright, because when you are keeping your attention to the whole breath, if you like, you can keep your attention to the whole body as well. So when your mindfulness is well established on the complete breath, you are on focused attention. There is one single object you are carefully observing. A similar approach can be used for the complete body. There you are keeping a kind of a whole body attention, and there you are calming down. Sabbakaya patisangvedi asasi samedi sikkati. You are understanding, okay, the body has well calmed, tranquil, and you can feel the entire body. There are no much agitation, there are no tension. It is fully aware of the complete present moment. The body has calmed down, the breath has calmed down. Actually, when body is agitated, breath cannot calm down. Actually, the body and the breath are interlinked. That's why Buddha explained asasa passasa, in-breath and out-breath, as kaya sankhara. That is the primary element of the body. The complete body can be represented through breath, breathing. That is the most elementary factor of the body. So therefore it is called kaya sankhara. So irrespective of either he is keeping his attention to the whole body or to the complete cycle of the in-breath and out-breath, now as a result of this observation, his whole body further calms down, and the in-breath and out-breath also further calms down. Pasambhayang kaya sankharang asasisamiti sikkati. Now he is breathing in, and as he is breathing in, the whole body calms down. The whole breath calms down. Very soothing experience. When he is breathing out, he is carefully breathing it out, and he is experiencing joy, and he is well attentive, very happy, contented. As a result, no agitation, and breath calms down. Out breath also calms down. Pasambhayang kaya sankharang pasasisamiti sikkati. So he is calming down the out breath, calming down the in breath. So this is the 4 stages of Kayanupassana. So if you want to practice Kayanupassana through Anapanasati, these 4 stages have to be touched. First you establish mindfulness on breath. Then you can understand the differences between in-breath and out-breath. And as a refined mindfulness, as a developed mindfulness, you can even understand the subtle differences between 2 consecutive in-breaths and 2 consecutive out-breaths. That is shorter or longer. You can understand. And more you carefully observing, then further you can understand it is not immediately starting. It's a very gradual beginning is there. Very careful, very gradual beginning is there. And then it is coming to its threshold, and ultimately it is disappearing, gradually disappearing. And there's a little gap in between in-breath and out-breath. Then the out-breath begins very gently, softly, gradually, and then it is increasing, and then it's also disappearing. Then there's a little gap between out-breath and in-breath. So one can see this very carefully. In order to see this, one have to have well-aligned mindfulness. So he is keeping his attention on the breath, and he is carefully observing. Like say for example, you are keeping some sample under a microscope, and you are not changing now your position, you are not moving the screws. Now you found the alignment, proper lighting, everything is well set now. You have adjusted everything perfectly. Now it's a matter of understanding the detail. Now it's a matter of carefully observing what is available there. Similarly, this practitioner also, now he has well established his mindfulness on breath, and he is not changing his posture, he is not agitating his mind. He is carefully observing the breath. Then only he can understand these subtle differences. So therefore Buddha uses 2 different terms. Actually the first 2 steps Buddha telling as pajanati. Digang vasasanto digang asasamiti pajanati. That is where the practitioner knows that when the in-breath is longer than the previous in-breath, he knows it. Similarly, he used the same term, pajanati, knowing, for the second step as well. Rassang vasasanto rassang asasamiti pajanati. When it is shorter, he understands it is short. But he uses a more careful term, sikkati, in the last two steps. Sabbakaya patisangvedi asasissamiti sikkati. So the practitioner maintains some kind of restrainment. He is very careful. He does not agitate his mind. He does not have any doubt about this system now. He does not do any adjustments. Rather, he is carefully observing as the way it is. Breath is occurring and he is carefully observing. Breath starts, he carefully observing. He is coming to the middle, he carefully observes. Breath comes to the end, he carefully observes. Then little gap, he carefully observes. Then out breath begins, he is carefully observing. The middle, carefully observing. End of the out breath, he carefully observes. Then he comes across the gap between out breath and in breath, he carefully observes. He is very patient, very vigilant, and he is carefully observing the complete cycle of in breath and out breath. Now, if you understand this situation, then you can understand how Bonjagna is going to develop through this process. That is what Buddha is explaining. So, let's come to the Buddha's words. Yasming samaye bhikkhu kaye kanupassi viharati atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanassang. When the monk or whoever the practitioner seeing the body as body and atapi sampajano satima, and he does not allowing any defilements to arise. So that is his restrainment. He is not allowing the mind to agitate. He is not allowing the mind to have any kind of hindrances, kamachanda, vyapada and all these things, the sensual desire, ill will and all these things, because those are defilements. If they arise, so he can't maintain this alignment. He can't maintain this complete focus. So if you can compare this situation with the microscope, so while you are observing something available under the microscope, after your careful adjustments, now you have to carefully observe it. There's a restrainment there. Similarly here also, now he is careful. He is restraining himself. He is not changing the posture. He is not agitating the mind. He is not allowing the mind to go to any other distraction. He is completely observing the breath. So the mindfulness enlightenment factor is established. Atapi sampajano satima. So he is vigilant whether defilements going to arise, and therefore defilements are not arising. Sampajano, he is clearly comprehending the content of the breath. Satima, carefully mindful. Vinaya loke abhijja domanasang. Now he has no agitation and he has no grasping or any resentment, but he is in an equanimous situation. Because it's a very balanced state of the mind. Upattitasya tasmin samaye sati hoti asammutta. So unremitting mindfulness is established. Now very careful mindfulness is established. So you can understand no defilements, no obstacles. He is well restrained and his attention is totally on the breath. Yasmin samaye bhikkave bhikkhuno upattita sati hoti asammutta sati sambojjango tasmin samaye bhikkhuno araddo hoti. So if one can do this, Buddha says, this is the beginning of the sati sambojjanga, beginning of the mindfulness enlightenment factor. This is just the beginning. Now he is doing it again and again. He is experiencing the next in-breath, he is carefully observing. He is experiencing the next out-breath, he is carefully experiencing. He is getting the next in-breath, he is carefully observing. He is getting the next out-breath, he is carefully observing. Again and again, again and again. So he does not stop there. Suppose he observed a couple of in-breaths and then if he stands up, he stops there. Unlike doing that, he is continuing his practice. He has started, he has well focused, carefully attentive, and now he is observing again and again, again and again. Whenever breath happens, it's a raw material for his practice. Sati sambojjango tasmin samaye bhikkhu bhaveti. Now he is developing mindfulness enlightenment factor. Because when he is observing like this, one in breath and one out breath, a little bit of sati sambojjanga being developed. When the next group come, in breath, out breath, another little sati sambojjanga being developed. Next group come, in breath, out breath, another little sati sambojjanga being developed. Likewise, he is developing now, bit by bit, little by little. So as a result of this continuous practice, little by little he is developing, gathering the momentum, developing mindfulness, enlightenment factor. There Buddha says, Sati sambojjango tasmin samaye bhikkhuno bhavana paripurin gacchati. As a result, because of this meditative practice, mindfulness enlightenment factor ultimately become complete, fulfilled. So he started and then he did it again and again. As a practice, due to the practice, he come to the culmination, completion. So this is how, through Anapanasati, if he is properly putting, as explained in the Kayanupassana section, through 4 steps, the Sati Sambojjanga going to develop. So then how Dhammavicaya Sambojjanga going to develop? So if I summarize Buddha's words there, so tatha sato viharanto tang dhammang panyaya pavicayati parivimansang apajjati. Now when he is observing the breath, he is carefully observing it through wisdom. Tan dhammang panyaya pavicayati. He investigates that breath. Pavicayati. He is examining that breath. Parivimansang apajjati. He is carefully inquiring about the breath. So this is what he is doing. And as a result, Buddha says, this Dhammavicaya Sambojjanga going to develop. Investigation factor, enlightenment factor, it's called investigation, is going to develop. That is, he has some inquiring mind. He's careful. He's searching. He's investigating. Examining. And in a full inquiry. As a result, Dhammavicaya Sambojjanga going to develop. And the same phrases, Araddo hoti bhaveti and bhavana paripurin gacchati. 3 stages. He starts like this, and he's doing again and again. Next, in breath and out breath, he's doing the same thing. Next, in breath and out breath, he's doing the same thing. The bhaveti, the development happens, bit by bit, little by little. As a result, the culmination happens, the completion happens. This is how Dhammavicaya Sambojjanga going to develop. Then how Virya Sambojjanga going to develop? That is the enlightenment factor of the effort. Now, when I am explaining this, you might think this breath is a really beautiful thing. I can do it whole night or the whole day. It is not. So you might feel lazy, you might feel tired, and it might be really boring. So at that time, again, you have to put some effort. It is not like simply watching a movie. It is something very, very neutral object. Breath is something neutral. And you are carefully observing it. Whenever mind feels, no, I want to get up, I want to go home, I want to go back, I want to have a tea, I want to have a break, all these things, if you feel, then again this effort come into the place. The effort does not allow the mind to go down. So effort is the one maintaining this state. Whenever mind come into negativity, the effort does not allow the mind to go to negativity. So there Buddha is telling, Virya Sambojjhanga, Tassa dhammang panyaya pavichayato parivimansang apajjato araddhang hoti viryang asallinang. So he is having a relentless effort. He is having a tireless effort. So you can understand these things very practically. Because as human beings, when we think, when something is happening, sometimes we might feel tired. Sometimes we might feel bored. Because these are not something very adventurous. These are not something very dramatic. These are very subtle, neutral observations. If you consider the feeling arising, is a very neutral feeling. Typically we can maintain our attention when something is very happy feeling, it's generating very happy feeling or very adventurous feeling, then we can get caught to it and automatically we are doing it. But here it is not. Here you need effort to maintain it, effort to continue it. Otherwise the yogi may give it up. Without giving it up, again and again for one to do it, one needs the effort. So he is maintaining this relentless effort, tireless effort, and that is how the Virya Sambojjhanga going to develop. Whenever mind going down, he is bringing it up. Whenever going down, again bringing it up. So that is the task of the effort. So if we come to the next enlightenment factor, so that is called piti, rapture. So if one can carefully do this for some time, so then your 4-5 hindrances going to diminish, going to reduce and temporarily subsided. As a result, some kind of rapture arising which is not coming through senses. It is not coming through your eyes, not coming through your ears, not through nose, not through tongue, not through the typical sensations happens on the body. Rather, it is something unworldly kind of happiness, unworldly kind of rapture. Niramisa piti. So you yourself have some kind of a contentment. And you don't need someone else's assistance or someone else's association for you to happy. You yourself utterly contented, fairly happy. So mind is now happy just with the breath, just by observing breath. Mind does not ask anything else, therefore no distraction. Mind is happy to be with the breath. So at this stage, mind does not wander. It has found being with the breath is very happy. No friction, no defilements, no burning, no agitation, but it's very soothing, very calming, very happy. And he is effortlessly, he is now staying with the breath. Even due to past tendencies, if it drifts, it by itself it may be coming back. Because once he drifts out, he understood this kind of burning, agitation outside. But being with the breath, he is experiencing some kind of a soothing effect. Therefore, it is rapturous. Therefore, it is happy. So there Buddha says, Aradha viryasa uppajjati piti niramisa. So when one is doing this again and again, without going to negativity, doing this whole process, then this unworldly happiness going to arise. So little by little you are developing that also. Next in breath and out breath, again little bit develop. Next in breath and out breath, little bit develop. Next in breath and out breath, little bit develop. This is the development, bhaveti. As a result, continuous practice, ultimately it comes to the fulfillment, completion. Bhavana paripuring gacchati. Then come the passadhi sambojjhanga, tranquility, enlightenment factor. So if one continues like this, so his mind become tranquil, his body become tranquil. So you can't feel any agitation in the body now, no aches, no pains. You feel kind of lightness, like floating. Very pleasant experience. So body no more become a burden. Now body is becoming a kind of pleasant experience. So no heaviness, rather it becomes very light. As a result, the mind also become very tranquil, very light. Buddha says, Piti manassa kayopi passambati, chittampi passambati. So when the mind is happy, the body becomes tranquil. The mind becomes tranquil. Momentarily it becomes tranquil, body and the mind. So next moment, another in-breath and out-breath comes and you are observing it, properly attending to it. As a result, again mind and body becomes tranquil. Next, another group comes, you are observing in-breath and out-breath, another little bit of mind and the body becomes tranquil. So you can see, so this practice leading to gradual development. It is not abrupt development, rather it is a gradual development, little by little, drop by drop. That is the bhaveti. So when you are doing this again and again, today you are practicing, tomorrow you are practicing, day after tomorrow you are practicing, continuously you are practicing. As a result, bhavana paripuring gacchati. As a meditating practice, you are coming to the completion. Then one leads to the samadhi sambojjhanga. Then Buddha says, passadda kayassa sukhino chittang samadhyati. When mind and body is tranquil, one feels happy, pleasurable, and as a result, no friction, and as a result, your mind get concentrated. So you can understand how positive path Buddha is telling us. It is not something negative path or something that you have some negativity in the mind, but very happily one is developing. You are smilingly developing this practice. So that is why the Piti Sambojjhanga is coming. This is how the lightness of the mind, lightness of the body coming. You are feeling happy. You are feeling light. And as a result, your mind get concentrated. Little by little. Little concentration. Next in-breath and out-breath, another little concentration. Next in-breath and out-breath, another little concentration. So you are bhaveti, you are developing it. As a result, your mind get fully concentrated. Now no wavering. Now like completely 100% well aligned with the breath. That is the full concentration with the breath. Samadhi. Now it is lasting for long time. At the beginning you may be putting some effort, but now it is effortless. Mind itself is well established on the breath, and now it is samadhi, concentrated. And once everything is well aligned, now everything happens smoothly. You don't have to do anything right now. Now Buddha is telling about the upekha sambojjhanga. So tatha samahitang chittang sadhukang ajjupekita hoti. So now the mind is well concentrated, everything happens quite properly, smoothly. And when things are happening smoothly, you don't need to do anything. You are simply watching with the equanimous mind. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to be positive. You don't need to be negative. You are in a very neutral feeling, neutral kind of a attitude. because things are happening properly. You don't need to do any adjustment now. Sadhukang ajjupekkita hoti. So you are simply seeing that everything is happening smoothly. You don't need to do anything. You are equanimous about the situation now. That is how the upekka sambojjhanga going to develop. Little by little, little by little. So this is how Buddha is telling how one can develop 7 enlightenment factors using Kayanupassana. So you can see, so when you are developing Kayanupassana, you are watching the breath, you are seeing the subtle differences. So you are doing that, but Buddha is explaining how it contributes to development of the enlightenment factors. So it is not that I am explaining, that Buddha is through his knowledge, his understanding, even though the yogi is keeping breath as an unit or breath as an anchoring point. So this practice leading to developing enlightenment factors in his mind. So breath is the tool, and when you are using the tool, enlightenment factors are developed in the mind. So Buddha is explaining, looking at in a different angle. We are using the tool, we don't think whether I am developing mindfulness factor, enlightenment factor, whether I am developing rapture. You are not trying to do like that, but you are fully 100% with the object. You are doing your job. And Buddha is explaining how when one is doing this successfully, it is leading to develop all these enlightenment factors. So therefore Buddha is telling, if someone is developing like this, he is not a poor person. He is a well-trained person. He is a rich person. He is in a progressive path. So that is mentioned in Adalidda Sutta, where Buddha is telling, Sattannam bojjhanganam bhavitatta bahulīkatatta adaliddoti uchati. He is no more a poor person. He is a very rich person. He is rich in the spiritual side, spiritual path. So this is how Buddha is explaining how these 4 stages, which is related to the Kayanupassana, leading to develop enlightenment factors, 7 enlightenment factors. So let's discuss how Vedananupassana are going to develop 7 enlightenment factors on tomorrow. So with that information, with that note, I'll conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.